The discussion we're having here today has to do with me sharing information to the greater community about experiences that I've had and the understandings and the knowledge that I've come to know over a period of a great number of years, obviously. And the experiences I've had are really, well, to put it simply, are really out there for a lot of people. They're quite vast and varied, and it's given me the opportunity to see this reality from many different perspectives, many different layers, from layers within what we refer to as the veil or the illusion, or it's got many terms, and also from outside the veil. I've taken many journeys beyond this reality, and those journeys have not just the destination hasn't been on one level, it has been on many levels beyond this reality. And I'll just like to preface the talk now by reading this out, because we like to express things, but there's some people that just nail it. And a good dear friend of mine, Leonie, nailed it. So I'll just read this paragraph to you because it sums it up. The only thing we as individuals can really and truly teach from is the foundation of our wisdom and our own truth. To teach from anything else, this includes all belief systems, religions, philosophies, doctrines, etc., is to be a disperser of knowledge, not a real teacher. Every single person on this planet has something to teach. There are no exceptions. To truly teach is to trust that your own unique knowing is worthy of being taught. Therein lies the meaning of our existence here, to shine and to teach. All belief systems, religions, philosophies, doctrines, etc., have flourished and remained in place for so long because we as a race have found it easier to spread that knowledge. To be or not to be. That's what Shakespeare was saying. Not the true untapped knowledge of our own heart, our own sovereignty, our own godliness, a godliness that we were never separated from. When will we awaken and realise that the only knowledge worth truly teaching is what we know? Who we are and what experience has taught us. Anything else, anything adopted, is attaching us to something that keeps us from knowing our true self. Yes, we will see ourselves and resonate with the teachings and knowledge of others. However, in this life, to fully express the entire spectrum of our own godliness is to teach from our own unique spirit, the very spirit that is connected to all that is. And I think that pretty much sums up the message that I wanted to begin with. That the body of knowledge that I'm sharing with you here today is, the vast majority of it is my own experiences, and that's where it's coming from. I'm not going to stand here and regurgitate other people's work. I'll reference some things, but not the whole lot. So I'll begin with an experience that I had in 2003, where I found myself being picked up and taken by a group of beings who were familiar to me. It was like a family, and took me to a place which was not of this world. And when I met these people, I knew they were family. Like, it wasn't like a negative abduction experience or anything like that. And then I found myself, they were preparing for me to go through this individual process where I left my body, and not on an astral level. There's different levels you can leave your body. There's different types of consciousness that you can access from your being and leave your body and then travel around. The most common one people know is astral travelling. Then you can travel in what some people term the etheric level, but this was my full-blown consciousness. Everything came out of my body, and I was pure consciousness, which is the omnipresent part of our being, where we can just go anywhere and do anything. And so I travelled up through the dimensions of the universe, and I went through all the different levels, and then I came back. And when I came back, I couldn't stop laughing. I just couldn't stop laughing, because prior to me actually leaving the body and taking the journey, I still had a lot of the lower ego attached. And when I came back and realised what's really going on around here, I just couldn't stop laughing. It was hilarious. And the laughter was, I've never laughed like that before. It was so deep and joyous. So I'm going to begin this first part of the talk, because we're going to have 3 parts to it. And the first part will be, I'll discuss the structure of the universe. And I've done this before, but there are some subtle changes, because the journey that I've had over the last few years, once I started awakening and coming into my own power and becoming my own being, other beings took notice of that. And the first thing they wanted to do was to take me and manipulate me, to make sure that when I speak, I wouldn't speak the universal truth, because really there is only one truth. I know all truths are relative, people say, but only small truths are relative. There is only one universal truth, and as to what's going on. So that is what the controlling factions, if you want to put it that way, don't want you to achieve and to know and to understand. So the other thing is, this knowledge I'm sharing with you here today is not anything new to any of you. You will know everything that I share with you. It's just you've forgotten it. So all I'm doing is providing a trigger here for you to remember, because all of this knowledge is inside of you. Everybody's got it. We've just forgotten it, because that's part of the separation journey. But now we're at the time in the cycle where it's time for us to remember who we truly are deep down inside, and why we came here, and where we all come from, and where we're all headed. And that's what I'll explain here today. The second part of the talk, I will get into what we call the grand deception. It's really profound. The magnitude of it is really great. What is about to be played out here on the planet now is quite a Hollywood blockbuster theme. It really is. It is profound what's about to take place. And my objective here today is to inform people with my experiences, so they have a point of reference. You know, the more points of reference you have, the greater your ability to make better decisions for yourselves. Okay, so this is all about empowering you with knowledge, with understanding, with perspective. And the third part, I'll do a little bit of numbers. I'm not going to get into the numbers too much today, but they are really profound. And then we'll have lots of question time as well in the third part. Okay, so that's the structure of today. So the first part will go for about an hour, maybe a little bit more. All right, so what I discovered when I went through the dimensions of the universe was, and I will just say one more thing, and the beings that tried to manipulate me, I know you're all aware of a group called the Galactic Federation of Light. Now in 2004 I did a series of lectures, and that video footage has been doing the rounds on the internet, as many of you are aware. And I will explain exactly who the Galactic Federation of Light are, because there's the real light and then there's the false light. And what we are about to experience on this planet, and it's already happening, is the false light. We've got to get through that first to get to the true light. And we all wanted this experience. It's like a test. It's like everybody incarnated at this time to achieve this graduation process, if you wanted it. So this is going to filter out who's really connected to the core of the universe, and who's not. And whoever decides to go on their ships when they turn up, there's no right and wrong. Okay? that is the right journey for each person that goes on those ships. It just means they wish to stay here a little bit longer. Not here on this planet, but in the lower universes a little bit longer. And they'll go through the next cycle. If I don't go through that one, they'll go through on the next one. So there's no right and wrong. It's just what's appropriate for each person. So there's no judgment here in that way, okay? And I went through this model of the universe in 2004, and that structure that I drew is a replica of the real universe. So I was being manipulated and I couldn't express myself properly. So now I'll draw that universal structure again, and there may be some similarities, but I'll just explain the differences too. So let's say here on Earth, as you know, we've all been in what we refer to as the third dimension, okay? And I'll put a line there because it blends in, but, you know, there are lines. Above that we've got the fourth dimension. Now the fourth dimension in physical size is the largest that exists in actual physical size because of the amount of separation that took place. Okay, this area is what's deemed the zone of free will. Okay, then we have a thick universal membrane between the fourth and the fifth. Now, the reason that was created was for protection on a universal level. It's part of the divine plan, it's part of the creation structure, because evil does not exist above here. So evil only exists, what you call evil. It's the concept, right? I'm just using our labels that we're familiar with. Of evil only exists below this level. Okay? Above here, this is what's known as heaven. This is what you call heaven. In religious terms, in what you experience here on this level, the level of life here is so beautiful. Everything's in harmony. Okay? It is amazing. Now this realm, the fifth dimension, exists on this planet too. And you know it as Avalon, or Shambhala, or Shangri-La. It's got lots of names, okay? Then we have the sixth, seventh. Between the seventh and the eighth, there's another universal membrane. And we have the ninth. Then goes the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Okay? So, these are the ones you really want to know about. And I'll explain that why. So, when I went up, I experienced the whole lot. And then I came back down. And what I discovered was that all these dimensional levels is what we refer to as creation. From inside this universe, universe, one verse, right? We think that that's creation, as from your perspective here, but it's not. Life is infinite. There's no end to it, as far as I can perceive. Even from right up the top dimensions, from up there, I couldn't perceive the end to life. It goes on and on and on. So, what I want to share with you is that this is what we call God. It's a being. Everything is a being, right? The planet is a being, the galaxy is a being, the trees are a being. This rock is a being. It's consciousness, experiencing itself, manifesting itself as such. Okay? Everything is life. So, this universe we are inside of is a being. And I'm here to tell you that there is life beyond God. So, this is the being and the creator of this universe in all its dimensional levels, and that's what we know as God. It's a being. But there is life beyond that. Now, remember, you know all this inside of you, so I'm not telling you anything new, I'm just helping you to remember, that's all. That's all I'm doing here. Okay? Now, think of yourselves beyond, because if this is here, I want you to know that you also exist beyond God. And I want you to know that each and every one of you are gods in your own right. Okay, Buddha and Jesus and Krishna, everyone says, know ye not gods, you are gods. And it doesn't mean you are God of this universe. What they're truly saying is you are gods of your own universes. But what you have done is you have come inside this universe to experience life in this way, in this construct. This is what we refer to as a waveform universe. Okay? Light, frequency, polarity. Okay? When you get to these higher realms, don't forget this is heaven compared to all this stuff down here. People think that's the light of God, you've reached God, heaven, it's all over. No way, it goes on and on, right? So each and every one of you are gods in your own right, but your construct, the way your universe is constructed is not like this one. This is unique. And think of us all on the God level, right? So we're all hanging out, each one of us are gods, got your own universe happening. And so this God starts expressing itself in a new way, right? And everyone goes, now that's cool. That is cool. I want me some of that. I want me some of that. So God said, if you guys want to learn how to be like me, then I'm going to come up and formulate something so you can learn how to be like me. So God created what's called the grand creation, the divine plan, the will of God. Okay? And created a formula for everyone to enter inside that being and experience life in waveform structure. Now, where you all entered this universe is here on the 9th dimension. This is what is considered the nursery, don't know about my spelling, of the souls. Everybody enters on this level. It's the nursery of the souls. It's where everybody first experiences waveform, or light, the light of God. And everybody comes in and acclimatises on that level. From there begins the journey. And you go into the 8th dimension. This is where you function on your own, but as pure energy. It's no physical form, it's just pure energy. And then once, just imagine now none of this exists yet, okay? You've just entered and you're experiencing yourself on your own because you're held here in a stasis, okay? And this is your soul. Soul is the highest form of ego in existence. Everybody thinks here on earth, ego, everything just outside of that, no ego. That's not true. Okay? You have ego on every single level, all the way up to your soul. Your soul, your I am presence, what we call the I am presence, the highest connection you have with God, you are still your own identity. Is that right? You have your own identity apart from the source. It's what makes you you. Okay? Because if you didn't have that individual identity, you would not exist. So just contemplate that. So this is the highest form of ego in existence, is soul, and that's where it resides. The I am presence. And the I am presence extends itself down into here. Okay, so that encapsulates these two dimensional levels. Then, once all possibilities and outcomes were experienced by all of us on these levels, we then said, hey, we want to take this to the next level. This is fun. A lot of people are having fun. This is a good ride. So God said, hang on, because the next level from here, if you want to take this journey, it's pretty full on. It's exhilarating, it's fun, but it's full on. So let me just create a huge void as a protective membrane for me, because I know what's coming. Because don't forget, I know me, and you want to be like me, then look out, because there's traps involved with being me, being like me. So everyone then went, yeah, we want some of that, and extended themselves down. And that is the highest level of physical structure, is the 7th dimension. Like, if they turned up here, like, I mean, a being from here turns up now on Earth when it was in the 3rd dimension. you just see a being of light, okay, because it's vibrating higher than this frequency, okay? So be aware of that. If it turns up and it looks beautiful and it's vibrating light, be aware of it. Just doesn't mean it's a pure loving being just because it does that. So, once all possibilities and outcomes, because that was a big rush, going from pure energy to physical structure was a really huge rush for everybody. Everyone loved it. And once all possibilities and outcomes were experienced there, everyone said, right, we're going to take this to the next level. And so, down again. And then same again, and then got to the fifth dimension. But once the lower vibrations of the fifth were begun to experience, there were major differences of opinion that occurred between beings. There was still no killing or death or destruction or anything like that, but we're talking major differences of opinion. And so the polarities started becoming really extreme. Beings started not liking other beings. Beings started wanting to control other beings. And it's like, wait a minute, this ain't right. But when I say control, it's nothing like, control here. I mean, don't forget this is heaven. But I remember in scriptures and that they talk about the angels had a war in heaven and all that. It's just differences of opinion, okay? So what God did was said, the next journey down into the lower vibrations is going to be so profound and so traumatic that once you enter that, there's only going to be one way out. One way out. If whoever wants to play this game, whoever wants to go on this roller coaster ride, I'm not stopping that roller coaster, okay? Once you're on that ride, you're in it for the long haul. And that's what you've all chosen, okay? So a being popped up, because the way God operates is, who wants to manage this, who wants to run that, who wants to be a part of it? So it's a participatory process, okay? So this being puts its hand up and says, I want to run one side of polarity. And I want it to be really full on. I want a being to be able to destroy another being. So let's make it really exhilarating, really intense, really exciting. And that's the being that you know as Lucifer, okay? So, in my other 2004 presentation, I said that Lucifer and Michael started up here, but that's not true. That was where I was being manipulated, okay? It starts here. And this is what I'm here to say today, is that that whole structure of the universe has been replicated down here in the lower universes by beings of a much lower order. Something to be very, very wary of. Okay. So this is where the division starts between dark and light. And that version of light is not what you think either. That's conditional love. Conditions apply without love. You do as I say, and I'll be nice to you, but if you cross my path, you better look out. I'll take you out. That's conditional love. Okay? All right? As long as you do as I say, I'll be good to you. It's imperialism. Okay? So, this is the Lucifer energy here, and this is the Michael energy here. So you can see the difference is quite big. This is what they do. This group of beings go around and brainwash everybody, and I'm talking star systems out there. This is happening on galactic level, not just here on Earth. As above, so below, you know. You've got to understand that the brainwashing and the manipulation happens on a galactic level as well. And there's a lot of ETs, which I'll talk a lot about in the second part, that are in communication with our governments here on Earth, who belong to this structure, who are brainwashed. Has anyone ever spoken to a religious fanatic? Okay, everyone, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah. So, they truly believe, they truly believe. And you can open up some of these books in the New Age movement and you can read them and the channelings and everything, and you can feel that there's a real genuine authenticity about what that person is saying, because they truly believe. The ETs that come and tell people and give them information, they truly believe. They're brainwashed too. They've been sucked into this empire. I learnt that the hard way, okay? I went through the humiliation, the shame. I've stood up and I've said things, and I know I've said things in the past, and they haven't eventuated, and they haven't been true, and they haven't been right. But I'm having this journey so you can all learn from. So I can stand up here and speak with authority and say, I've lived this stuff. I've been deceived by them. I have been taken by them. I have even been tortured by them. These beings are not what they seem. You've got... I'll get into that later, okay? All right. Now, once we got to this point here, this is what we think is the zone of free will. Okay? Now that's really important that I said think is the zone of free will, because this part of you here, what we refer to as the higher self, which spans these three, and you can be omnipresent here, you can be in many places at once, right? The higher self, down here, you organised your whole journey down in these lower universes. And we're talking, some people have been down here for eons of time. I've talked to beings who have been here from the beginning, when they were first created. Earth time, trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions times trillions billion years ago, Earth time equivalent. Okay? It's been a really long time, and a lot of people, you see it in their eyes, they're tired. I've had enough, I want to go home. And it's true, a lot of us feel that way, don't we? We've had enough, we want to go home, yeah. Yeah. Some of us haven't been down here for this long, and they're freaked out too, because the way life is down here in these lower vibrations is just too much. You don't like it at all. They haven't been down here long, and they're not used to all the bad things that go on down here. That's what was created. And it was a journey into vast separation. Vast separation. Never experienced before. Now here's another big surprise for you. Each one of you who is incarnated on Earth here is actually a galaxy. Sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? That is how beautiful each and every one of you are. All the beings that are incarnated on here on Earth at the time are also galaxies. Really, people will say, oh, there's probably about 2 billion galaxies in existence. Crap, there's a lot more than that. There's trillions of galaxies in existence in these lower universes, and there's more than that too. So you are all co-creators already, because the way God operates, you come down here, you take responsibility. It's not like we have kings and queens in our world here, where they do take a fair bit of responsibility, but when you're a king and a queen out there, the way we do it properly is when you manifest a galaxy, when you want to become a king or a queen of a galaxy, and that's just labels, king, queen, it's just to get the concept with you. Your energy stream of your being goes into manifesting that galaxy, and your energy stream of your being manifests all the planets, right? Is the foundation for all the planets, because other beings come into your galaxy and experience the way your galaxy vibrates, and they manifest themselves as a planet and a star, and it's just multi-layered like that. We all go inside each other and experience each other in the different ways we express one another. Okay? So we're more interconnected than you can possibly imagine. Everyone says, yeah, we're all one, it's all beautiful and everything. Wow, you know. You have people that you fight with, you can understand that you're sorting out karma because you two were two galaxies at war on another level way back when. And you're sorting out all that karma. It goes on and on and on. It's really expansive. So, we took this journey down here and God said, we're going to expand, but then one day we're going to start funneling everything into singularity again. And what pops out the other end are creator gods. So you're gods in your own right, but not in this universe. You're in the process of becoming God. We are gods in the making. Okay? Now you all have your Christ centre. Okay? That is the consciousness of this universe. That is a seed that was planted inside of you when you first made contact here. Okay? That Christ centre is a seed, and within the next 4 years that seed is about to sprout. All right? You want to call it Buddha, you want to call it Krishna, you want to call it Quetzalcoatl, you want to call it the rainbow serpent, you want to call it the green man, you want to call it Pan, you can call it Ra, you can call it anything you like. It's describing the same thing. Different culture, different time, different interpretation. Okay? Everyone's talking the same language, really. So once we went through the journey of expansion and went through all these horrendous wars and exhausted all possibilities and outcome on the fourth dimension, a third dimensional paradigm was created. And as we're stepping down, we're getting into a slower waveform, right, which means more density as well. So the higher vibration, the lower the vibration, the more density. Molecules vibrate slower, the more dense the matter becomes. God said, right, we're going to start bringing everything back together, because this is inside God. And this free will zone, right, people think they got free will, really, because the whole thing was designed down from up here, don't forget that. This higher self aspect of you planned the whole life and the outcome, okay? So you're roaming this planet with free will, then you've got to think about that, okay? Because once you get in touch with your higher self, you then know, realise and know for sure that we do not have free will down here. We just think that we do. That's an illusion of the lower ego, okay? And it needed to be that way. We needed to go through that illusion. Separation, okay? And people don't like that, because everything they do that's bad, they can then no longer blame anybody else but themselves. Okay? They can't blame anybody else. It's nobody's fault but mine. Everything I've done, everything I've been, in all this area here, it's all me. It's all of my own making, of my own doing. So God then decided, I'm going to take this project on now, hands-on. And the feminine and the masculine aspects of the Creator decided to manifest themselves as galaxies. And they did that. And the feminine aspect of the Creator, the Divine Mother, manifested herself as our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And it is termed as such because of the nurturing of the mother's milk. The male aspect of the universe manifested itself as the Andromedan galaxy. And in Greek, the word andros means husband. And the Andromedan galaxy is the one right next door to ours. So you've got the masculine and the feminine, the divine, sacred couple. Everybody from all these different galaxies, right, then came in to this one galaxy, because the call went out. The call went out to all the beings who are ready to return home and make this journey to become a creator God. So all the spiritual hierarchy in all these galaxies worked out which beings were going to represent each galaxy and come into this galaxy. So each star system in this galaxy is a settlement or a condensing down and a representation of a galaxy. So you've gone from a galaxy, compressing it down into one star system. Okay? So we're on the road to compression and more density. From there, everybody came into the galaxy, and so now you've got all these differences of separation being compressed into one galaxy. And we had a lot of wars that took place in the galaxy in the beginning, because there's a lot of jostling for elbow space and, positions of power and what have you. And it was a pretty painful time. But then it got to the point where it had to be compressed down to the next level again. And the universal consciousness and its masculine and feminine then said, right, we are going to take control of this firsthand again, and we're going to manifest ourselves as a star system. And so the male aspect manifested itself as the Orion League. Okay? And in Egyptian mythology, that is Osiris, or the hunter. Okay? Which is really another aspect of this guy anyway. Remember, we're talking about the universal creator. Okay? That's what this represents too. That picture there. Okay? So, and the feminine manifested herself as Ceres, which is also known as Isis. They've got other names in other cultures. I'm just sharing the ones I'm familiar with, okay? Every culture has this knowledge hidden in it. Now, what took place in Orion was so profound, was the masculine energy compressing itself right in. So all the warring, all the controlling energies of that masculine energy was played out in what we call the Orion Wars. And that's what the Star Wars series is all about, that energy. It was one of the most painful and horrific times ever, because it really needed to be sorted out once and for all. Of course, it's still in the process of happening, as you're well aware, but a big chunk of it was transmuted in the Orion League through that era. And it was a very painful time, and I've spoken to people and heard people talk about their memories of the Orion Wars. The deprivation of freedom and the tortures and what took place in the technology that was used to hurt people in that era was, there are no words to describe how horrific that was. So, that is why we have in Egypt the 3 pyramids. Because they are a fractal of the Orion's belt, and Osiris came to this planet a bit over 12,500 years ago as Ra and built those pyramids to anchor that masculine energy into this plane. That's what those pyramids do. You'll hear all sorts of stories about those pyramids, but they anchor the male energies into the earth plane. All that war, all that control, all that horrendous energy, because what was happening was masculine and feminine needed to go to the next level, and they manifested themselves as our sun, which is known as Horus, and as earth, which is known as Hathor. Okay, in the Egyptian pantheon. Now, you can pick up a book in today's world. You go to the library or whatever, pick up a book. They won't tell you that Hathor was the embodiment of Mother Earth. They won't tell you that, because that's secret. That's a secret, because, we've got to suppress the feminine, got to suppress the truth. Okay, so again, I'm coming from a place like everything I share with you here today, you do with as you will. Okay? If you don't want to accept anything I say, I'm at peace with that. But I'm not going to sit here and tiptoe through the tulips with you. I'm not going to sit here and express myself in such a fragile way that I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I truly don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but if I say something that nudges your belief system, then I'm sorry about that, because we're right at the business end of the cycle, and the truth needs to be shared. And I'll just lay my cards on the table. So, in the pantheon, Osiris and Isis come together and have a son called Horus, okay? And that is the sun. Jesus Christ, Son of God. Horus and Jesus are the one being, Okay? The Divine Mother manifests herself as the earth because, and this is the Adam and Eve and the serpent business with God. You are taught that Eve was seduced by the serpent and fell into a low vibration. That is the biggest load of cod. They formulated a plan together. See, that other story gets told to once again undermine the feminine, to show her that she's weak, that she's easily conned, and it just takes away the real hero in all of this. Because this guy here, he's getting a lot of attention, right? But the real one, when he comes along, he's going to tell you who the real hero is. He's going to tell you that divine feminine is the real hero in all of this. Because she manifested herself as a planet that was going to see the very last vestiges of this plan play itself out. She volunteered to manifest herself into a planetary body where everyone can incarnate on. She volunteered to be raped, to be pillaged, to be plundered, to be tortured, to be poisoned, to be beaten. And not for a short period of time, not just for a few thousand years. This has been going on for millions of years. So if any big fella wants to stand up in front of me and talk tough, I'll tell you who's the toughest of them all. That's the Divine Mother. That's the Divine Feminine. There is no other being in this universe that is as courageous, that is as strong, that is as nurturing, that is as unconditional loving as that woman, as the Divine Mother. She's my hero because I know the magnitude of her journey. And I assure you, over the next few years, as you awaken and you reconnect with your true heart, your Christ centre, that you will come to know this. And I'm not standing up here preaching. You all know this already. You've just forgotten. And you will automatically come to know this over the next few years. I assure you of that. She's the real hero. So, the pyramids anchor that masculine energy into this earth plane. That's what needed to happen. So we can play all this crap out. And I've got this word written up here, apocalypse. And you look up the dictionary, it says the revealing of the truth. The word is words put together. Apo, kali, psyche. Which means, as I've written, from the good spirit. So another part of the manipulation is to get you to fear that word. Now the controllers fear that word. They are scared. My goodness, are they scared. Because when this happens, when the truth and the knowledge comes from the good spirit, it's game over. It's game over for them. So when you all awaken now and understand the real truth of what's going on here, which you all will, don't take my word for it. Like I say, you're going to know this for yourselves. It's game over for them. And that is the true meaning behind this word. Okay? They just love to taint things with their brushes, you know. So, it's compression. From expansion into the lower universes, down to 2 galaxies, down to 2 star systems, down to 1 singular star system and a planetary body. That's the journey we've all taken. And where are we headed? That's where you come from. Everyone's an ET. We're all in this generic form called the human embodiment. Oh, and that's another thing I wanted to share with you. People say to me, but I don't have this connection with the Divine Mother. I don't feel her. You are so intimately connected with her. I'll run this as an example for you. In the church, they hold up... I've been Christian Greek Orthodox, by the way. But I'm into Christianity, I'm not into churchianity. There's a big difference between the two. So, they hold up the wafer and they go, this is the body of the Christ and the wine is the blood of the Christ. And they go through this thing called communion. Well, first of all, where did that wafer come from? It came from the earth. It was grown from wheat, comes from the earth. Where'd the wine come from? Comes from grapes, was grown from the earth. Everything you eat, you know, people give thanks around the table. What do they give thanks to? A male god. Everything you consume, the air that you breathe, the water that you drink, everything comes from Mother Earth. Your body is made up of the organic matter of the earth. That's how intimately connected you are to her. You're inside that body which is of the earth, of the Divine Mother. And people don't get it. People don't understand how closely and how intimate that relationship is. Yeah. Now, we have the next phase of the journey coming up. And where we are headed is, as I said before, to become creator gods. And everybody's heard of this thing called ascension, right? And what does it really mean? Well, it happens in stages. You don't just bang ascend in one hit. So, December 2012. Everyone hears about 2012, right? Everyone's familiar with that. And there's this cycle called the precession of the equinoxes. And after I booked this hall 3 months ago, or whatever it was quite a long time ago, it didn't occur to me back then, and then recently it dawned on me because I was connecting with profound information and discovered that the apocalypse begins today. Today is the equinox, and today is the activation of the apocalypse. There's only 4 years to go till this cycle ends and this planet ascends, and everybody who's left on it will ascend, and it begins today. Now, there's other people that have been brought to my attention that are talking about the massive energy patterns that are happening on the world today and over the next few days. There are people being guided to do all sorts of energy work and sacred rituals and whatever you're guided to do, whether it's to stand in a park and twirl around, you know, you mightn't realise it, but you're creating a vortex and you're anchoring energies in or taking energies out just by twirling in a park with your arms out. Okay? So things, well, if you're not consciously aware of it, things are happening on all different levels all the time. Okay? And that's what we're all doing collectively, all around the world. We're all activating the apocalypse. Now, you don't have to believe me. I know it sounds a bit preachy, but all I can say is, with the vast experiences that I've had and the knowledge that I've gathered, I understand the timing of this cycle, and that's what's happening. Okay. Now, you're all aware of that symbol there. It's the symbol behind the head of Jesus. The American Indians call that symbol the medicine wheel. The Australian Aborigines call that symbol the sacred watering hole. And that's interesting. Why water? Well, hang on a minute. Baptismal waters. What's that all about, you know? There's a connection there straight away. The waters, the sacred waters, the baptismal water represents the higher consciousness. And that's what you get connected to. It's a symbol of life. That's why that symbol is here. This is the matrix of the lower universes. This is the symbol of the whole. And this here is the divine symbol of your I am presence. That's the 3 levels in sacred geometrical form. Okay? The cycle is the precession of the equinoxes, not the precession of the solstices. You just keep hearing about December 21, 2012. It's a solstice. I don't know why people just don't understand that bit. And I am seeing a lot of people around the world at the moment that are starting to move towards 2013 now. They are. I've seen documentaries made about 2013. as opposed to just focusing on that one day, 2012. 2012 is important because by the end of that day, everyone, right, I'm not undermining how important that day is. Believe me, it's important because we will have all gone into the fifth dimension by that day. The last person walks through on that day on this planet, whoever stays here. Okay? Because we merge the 20, which is the icosa, with the 12, which is the dodeca. Baptismal waters, the icosahedron is the template for water, the etheric template for water, the platonic solid for water, right? Dodeca is the platonic solid, the etheric template for spirit. You're merging those two aspects. You are entering the baptismal waters of the higher consciousness of heaven on that day. The last people walk through on that day. It's going to happen in waves. I'm going through in 2011 sometime. The last talk I did, there were two ladies at the front nodding their heads. They knew straight away. Yep, we're going in and we're coming to do work. There's a lot of fully consciously aware people that know their journey. Okay? So, back to the processional cycle. The procession at 2012 is really important. Now, it ends on the 21st of March, 2013. That is the day the planetary light body gets activated. That is the day, to put it in the sacred geometrical terms, the star tetrahedron of the being gets activated because that nests inside of it. And I know that's a bit full on for some people, but there are people watching this video and are here in the crowd who know exactly what I'm talking about. That's when everything gets activated, and we then enter a realm that has never existed before anywhere in creation. So what's happening on this planet is brand new. It is completely brand new. It's never happened before. This planet is going to turn into a star. And that sounds crazy, I know, but I can't not say it anymore. I've been walking around with this for a long time. I've had debates with friends like you wouldn't believe. People say, look, every other time it's happened, the planet just dies, it's a dead body, and that's what it's going to look like, and we're just going to live in a higher dimension. No, not this time. This is the end. This is the cycle to end all cycles. This is a planet that's going to give birth to a planetary race of Christed beings, of Buddhas, of Krishnas, whatever label you want to use. The internal core, this planet was much smaller. If you look at the land masses of this planet, they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. They do. Just take out an atlas and you look how all the land masses fit together. This planet was much smaller than what it is now. It's already gone through a major expansion process. Now, the internal core is firing up again. The oceans aren't heating up because we're pumping too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That's part of it, but it's not the main factor. You will get told a whole lot of because they don't want you to know the truth, and they don't want to give power to the divine feminine, to the consciousness that is this earth. That is the last, they can't handle that because all they've ever wanted to do is control that. Suppress it. We're the ones in charge. Okay? This planet is going to turn into a star and nothing's going to stop that from happening. Alright? And when we walk through, what's going to happen is dimensional doorways are going to open up all over the planet. And that's what that represents. That is the Vesica Pisces. It is the womb of the mother. That is the Christ coming out of the womb into this reality and doing his thing. It's him coming out of Avalon, out of Shambhala. The fifth dimensional realm on this planet is the realm of the goddess. And when those dimensional doorways open up, there'll be beings going in, beings coming out. And the beings coming out are known as the angels of Avalon. It's in a lot of scriptures. I was really happy to hear a book that I read about Shambhala, and it was the first time I've ever seen it being mentioned that predominantly the beings in Shambhala are feminine. First time I saw it anywhere. And I thought, thank goodness, finally someone's written the truth. They know. So ponder on that. We'll have a bit of a break. There's tea and coffee, there's biscuits, there's sandwiches.